Okay. Hi, welcome to the Tata Consultancy Services interview. I will be conducting the interview, and Enrico will represent TCS. Yeah, excited to go
Yeah,
through this.
very excited to walk through.
So today we're examining Tata Consultancy Services, which is a $30 billion revenue firm, one of India's largest and most valuable companies and the backbone of a sector that employs over 5.6 million people. TCS has built its success on a clear formula: scale, offshore wage arbitrage, and billable hours. But agentic AI is now attacking this formula directly. The central question is whether TCS should defend this model that makes it dominant or pivot into something fundamentally different. So let's begin by an overview of why this is urgent.
So, as you said, like the urgency comes from the economics. TCS's cost structure tell the story very plainly. The employee cost represent nearly 46% of the revenue, and according to the Q2 of the fiscal year 2025 fact sheets. And when your core unit of production is human labor, any technology that can replace or reduce labor does not change your cost base. It attacks mainly what is your revenue logic. And at the moment, agentic AI is exactly doing that from both sides simultaneously.
Okay, can you explain both sides?
Of course, on one side, there's the client that can now use agentic AI to automate a portion of coding, testing, documentation, and operation support internally, which reduces how much they need to outsource. And on the other side, there is for the work that is still outsourced, they expect Tata to be using AI to deliver it even faster and cheaper because they want to capture the efficiency through lower prices. And as reported by Reuters, clients are already asking for productivity benefit and significant cost reduction related to AI adoption fees. So Tata is facing declining volume and the margin are shrinking at the same time.
But this sounds much more like a structural problem, more than just a cyclical one.
And it is structural. Tata has already acknowledged this. Already in July 2025, Reuters reported Tata planned to reduce its workforce by roughly 12,200 people, which is about 2% of the total workforce, which the cuts they are mainly concentrated in the middle and senior management. And these layoffs are described by analysts as an early signal of broader AI-driven that shakeups and across not only Tata but the whole outsourcing sector, which is worth 283 billion. The pyramid model, where there's a large layer of mid-manager that coordinate deliver, is being compressed by AI, and this compression is not temporary.
Right. So then TCS should not be facing this issue alone. Accenture, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, that whole gamut of Indian companies should be grappling with the same shift. So does that make the problem easier or harder for TCS to solve?
I mean, it's a bit of both, depending on where you set the time frame. In the short run, the fact that everyone in all the competitors are facing the same challenges mean that is not losing market share immediately, even just by standing still. But this can give like a false sense of comfort because, for example, one of the competitor, Accenture, has aggressively positioned around AI-led transformation services and manages relationship at a higher strategic level than pure delivery. If Tata doesn't reposition, the competitive gap will widen, not because TCS declines in absolute terms, but just because the markets will reward a different value proposition.
Right. So thanks for that. And what about the Indian peers, Infosys, HCL Tech, Wipro? How are you placed amongst them?
Yeah, the risk between them is the main risk that every company wants to avoid, which is a price war. If the demand for that would be like labor-intensive delivery will fall and everyone will protect utilization, competitor will cut rates to hold contract. And the scale on this topic, like the scale of Tata, will give some buffer, but also can mean it cannot pivot as easily as a smaller firm the size. And here is another harder point, even harder point. If Tata use AI to deliver the same work with fewer people, but keeps time and material pricing, the clients will eventually notice that there are efficiency gains and demand a share. So rivals do not need to win the AI race to damage Tata. They just need to force a price conversation.
So this sounds like a classical case of buyer power rising.
Exactly, very sharply. In this case, we can say that large enterprise clients can already benchmark the rates across multiple vendors, repeat contract fairly regularly, and have multiple sources. AI gives them additional power, an additional layer, the ability to measure productivity gains and precisely and what can be the demand pass through. And add that add the threat of additional AI native entrants, which are like smaller firms that can compete on specific service lines with fewer people and with more expertise on AI. And you have a situation where both substitution risk and buyer leverage are increasing at the same time. And the industry structure is becoming less favorable.
Right. So I think then TCS to me has four obvious paths. It can either defend the existing model, shift to an outcome-based pricing model, acquire AI capabilities, or restructure the workforce. So can you walk me through these and tell me which one you think is going to work best?
So let's start with defending the existing model. And let's say Tata adopts AI internally for productivity, but they cuts time and materials billing. The near-term gains is obvious. So it's stable, it predicts revenues, clients remain comfortable, and margins can improve in the short run. However, this is a monetization trap. Once clients start to realize that the data is delivering the same output with fewer people, they will ask for rate reduction or better contract terms. And so, so sum up, like data will gain efficiency but cannot keep the upside. The billing engine will come under pressure precisely because of the model is worked.
Right. Right. And so what about pure acquisition? How about buying AI capability?
So, on the sense that like acquisition can for sure shorten what is the capability building cycle, and Tata should selectively pursue that. But acquisition alone does not solve the pricing problem. You can buy what can be like the best agentic workflow platform on the market and still price on a headcount. The strategic issue is not whether Tata can build or buy AI, is whether it can monetize it. And those are very different questions. And acquisition are, in this sense, are an enabler, not a strategy.
And what about flattening the workforce pyramid then?
So restructuring the talent model is for sure necessary, but also insufficient alone. Because if we remove the coordination layers, expand the senior ARI roles, and reshape the pyramid, it will improve the fit with agentic delivery. But if the contracts are still prices on roles and rates, a flatter pyramid with fewer staff would just mean lower revenue, not higher margin. And so talent restructuring need to be paired with a model that captures the value of that restructuring. Otherwise, you absorb all the disruption costs and pass the benefits to the clients.
Right. So from your answers, it seems outcome-based pricing is the way forward.
Exactly, is the core of the answer. Under outcome-based pricing, Tata will get paid for result, so which can be testing throughput, system uptime, release velocity, and cloud cost reduction as some general idea or KPIs, rather than for hours work. And in a world when AI reduces the hour needed to achieve those outcomes, Tata will keep the margin improvement and flip the economy. AI will become a profitability lever rather than a margin threat, but outcome pricing is very hard to execute, which is why it cannot be alone either.
Right. So you need a combination, it seems. So what does this combination look like, and why do you think this is the right answer, and not just a compromise?
So on the compromise point, I want to say that it's not a compromise. It's more like a sequence strategy. Let's just say like the anchor is option A, which means shift a meaningful share of the deals and renewal towards outcome-based AI first contract. That will directly address the monetization problem. But also you need to execute it using some enablers. And there are two of them, as we said. One can be the selective acquisition or partnership, uh, which is used to close capability in the gap faster than the build cycle and allow agentic workflow automation in places where competitors have already scaled platform. And the second one is gradual talent restructuring, which is used to align what is the delivery model with the pricing model. And you cannot price on outcomes if your delivery still runs on a headcount and pyramid design schemes for times and material.
So how do you sequence such a large transition without disrupting a $30 billion business?
The answer to this is it's not easy, but I think a good idea could be some sort of like control segmentation that takes place over the span of like 12 to 18 months. First, there is the need to designate a portfolio of processes where the outcome are measurable and defensible, which means task productivity, incident resolution time, cloud cost optimization, release frequency, but these are just a starting point because the metrics already exist and clients understand them. After that, you need to introduce some sort of hybrid contracts where both the client and Tata share the gain of productivity gain from AI, building credibility and share experience from Tata and the client. Then, in the end, in the third phase, once these contracts are demonstrated successful, Tata can ask to move and migrate the best performing accounts to full outcome arrangement. So, and which can then you can use that as a basis, the evidence to pursue what are the acquisition that extend the capabilities in those lines.
Perfect. So this sounds very deliberate. Is this at the risk of being too deliberate?
The main risk is that the contracting norms shift faster than Tata's transition. If buyers begin to writing outcome-based expectation into RFPs before Tata has an internal model to price and deliver of them, TCS is reactive more than leading. And the 12 to 18 month window is not a comfortable planning horizon. It's more like the outer boundary of productivity. If Tata waits for a market forces pivot, it would be negotiated from a position of weakness.
Perfect. So I'm not going to press you too much on this. The final question then, you are in front of the TCS board, one recommendation.
Okay, so in front of the it's there you have to be sort of begin a disciplined phased shift towards AI first and outcome-based contract, which have to be anchored in measurable processes introduced through hybrid gain share structures and support by targeted acquisition and talent restructuring, because that is the only path that preserves value capture in a world where billable hours is steadily becoming less central to delivery. And at the same time, we need to protect the core in the short term, redesign the model for the medium terms, and stability matters, but relevance matters even more.
Right. So it seems the bottom line then is a control pivot before the market forces one onto you.
Exactly. The window, the time frame exists. The question is that is Tata able to use that time frame?
Whether it's able to use that time frame indeed. It's a pleasure talking to you. And
It
I
was a
hope this was
pleasure. Thank you so much for this. It was a pleasure.
perfect. Thank you so much.